viewers. This is Charlie Brown, aka Carlos P. Faucher, in association with Faucher Boxing and Charlie Brown Boxing, man. And this is the prediction and analysis video for the Bryant Jennings and Mike Perez fight that's going to take place on the undercard of the Golovkin and Gill fight. And let me just get straight into it, man. Bryant Jennings, 6'2", 84-inch reach. He's 29 years old. He's an orthodox fighter. He's had 18 fights, 18 wins, 10 of those by stoppage. No fights by draw, and he's had no losses. Bryant Jennings, basically, he only had 17 amateur fights, man, and he reached the final of the National Golden Gloves, man. He lost to I forgot the brother's name, Thompson. I think it was Lenny Thompson or Lenroy Thompson, something like that. But people have slept on Jennings a little bit. I think he's a good heavyweight if with the right people, getting the right opposition. Now, I can't really, to break down his record, it's like, boy, I haven't really heard of any of these fighters. He's had fights with, a lot of them are in America, and they've sort of built him up. But the thing I like about him, he's progressed. He's progressed quite slowly, but I have to rate him because in 4 years he has been very active, and give and take the level of their opposition, he is fighting a good fighter in Mike Perez, the Cuban. So can't really, like I said, I can't really break down any of these fighters. He did fight a Puerto Rican fighter called Alexis Mejias, sorry. But other than that, there's no one else really on there that I can really go into. But I will say for Bryant Jennings, man, he's a good boxer, man. He's got good skills. When he decides to use them, he can also rough it up a little bit. So I'll be interested, in seeing how it transpires, because he used to play basketball in Philadelphia, and he's a part-time boxer. He's a mechanic in his spare time. I believe that's what I've been told. That's what I've read about him as well. But I don't know how true that really is, if he's still doing that. But apparently he's like a bit of a part-timer. But hopefully a win over Mike Perez should propel him into the big time. But let's talk about Mike Perez, man. He's a Cuban professional boxer. He's 28 years old. I believe he's about 6'2" as well, something like that. I don't know his reach, but he is a southpaw. He's had 21 fights, 20 wins, 12 by knockout. He's had 1 draw, no losses as well, so he's unbeaten. He was a decent amateur. He wasn't really one of those Cuban amateurs like, the Rigondos and the Gamboas and them kind of guys, and the Lares. He didn't have like hundreds and hundreds of fights, but he did fight at the junior championships. He beat Danny Price. He beat a Russian called Pavlukov or something like that. I remember that fight. But when he came up against Juan Pablo Hernandez, another Cuban compatriot of his, he came up short, man. But other than that, really, he's pretty much similar to Bryant Jennings. That they don't really have that much of an amateur career. He turned professional in Ireland, as a lot of them do when they defect. They either go to Ireland, or a lot of them go to Ireland, or they go to Germany to build their career. But he built his in Ireland, and the UK. He had a few fights at Alexander Palace. I saw him. I think he's a good fighter, man. I think he's a good boxer, man. Um, he also hasn't really mixed it with anyone who I can really rant about. But I mean, he did beat Ty Fields. Ty Fields is about 6'6". That was in the prize fighter tournament. He won that by TKO in the first round. 42 seconds of that fight actually. But mind you, Monty Barrett had done the same thing previous years earlier against Ty Fields. But Ty Fields was one of those guys like that they built up like Deontay Wilder kind of, it was like a big guy that, that they built up. He was a bit of a hype job like Michael Grant. And he's gone down. But other than that, and he did beat the Nigerian Friday, Ahan, Ahanaya, sorry, um, unanimous decision. Uh, but other than that, he hasn't really beaten anybody else um, that I can really go into. So they're basically both on an even playing field. Um, I would say that most people would fancy what you call it, Mike Perez to actually win that. Just due to the fact that he's Cuban and he's a southpaw. Um, but I don't know. I mean, this fight, it depends on Jennings, man, because that 84-inch reach that he's got, that's gonna create a few problems for Mike Perez. I expect that fight, the first 3 rounds, to be quite cagey, unless one of them comes out and tries to knock the other out early. But I expect it might be a bit cagey for the first 3 rounds. Definitely a jabbing contest if they're taking it seriously. The only thing for me is that I hope that Bryant Jennings is not scared going into that fight. I hope he's like mentally prepared. Because if he is, we will see a good boxing match. But me personally, if Bryant Jennings wins it, he'll win it by stoppage, almost definitely. Um, Mike Perez, really, if he wins it, I expect him to win it on points. Um, I'm gonna go with Mike Perez on this one, just slightly. I give him just because he is a southpaw. Um, it's, they call him the rebel because he is quite a rebellious character. Um, and I just think he might have a little bit more in his arsenal than Bryant Jennings. But other than that, you know, I can't see there's no other sort of, I don't know, weaknesses that either fighter can really exploit, man. It's quite an even fight, even matchup. But I'm gonna go with Mike Perez anyway, just snatching it on points. Um, like I said, Brian Jennings, I think more of his chance of him winning is going to be by stoppage. But let me know what you think anyway in the comment section below. Do you think this is a good matchup? Is it important? What do you think of it? Uh, Let me know what you think of the actual heavyweight division as well at the moment. And I'll leave it there, man. Yes.